Ah yes, Paper Mario the Origami King, the most mediocre game I've ever played. And no, I'm not joking. I've played a lot of games, good or bad, but none have just been perfectly mediocre until I stumbled onto this thing. While there are some good things to write about, holy crap does it have its flaws, and man, it really shows. This won't be like a normal RGFMC video. I'll talk about my good things and the bad things about this game. I will then share my final thoughts and then just end the video. So, let's get started. So, from playing this game, here are the good things. The visuals are great, every area has its own unique vibe, and I feel like they nailed it. The outline of Mario is odd, but you get used to it after a bit. Another good thing is some of the characters. Keyword some for foreshadowing purposes, but I liked most of them, so let's discuss one of them, Bobby. Bobby is the first real partner, and I wasn't really expecting some actual partners in this game, but here we are. Bobby isn't perfect, obviously, I'll talk about his bad parts later, but his death is so good. It's set up so well. He goes on in this monologue about how he has lost friends and memories and his lost fears, and now that he kind of got all of them back, he feels like though his life was complete, and just like his bomb comrades, he decides to end it. Obviously doing it for the greater good, destroying the rock that Olivia is being crushed by for like, who knows how long. And then after Olivia is saved, there's still the scene after it, where you just go after Olivia to cheer her up, and holy crap, this can get really dark at times. You walk through the cavern to her, and man, this just feels so ominous, and it just really nailed out of the park with this death. I really like this scene, even though it's dark and depressing as shit. Something I can appreciate about this game is the fact that they actually know how to kill these characters. While it sucks that the arguably the best partner of the game dies, it's set up so well that it makes you appreciate Bobby's bad parts a bit more. Another thing I liked about this game is its ending. The final boss was really good besides that stupid puzzle phase, and it was just an awesome scene to see at the end. Olivia sacrificing herself for the greater good was also done excellently. As the world reforms, you get to ponder on her wish. Destroy all origami made by my brother. And if you aren't dumb like me, you'll remember the Origami Man scene from the Purple Streamer chapter. And remember that Olivia was made by Ollie. It's just so creatively done, and I really liked how they left Olivia on a good note. Another thing I liked was the theme of the streamer bosses being paper-related tools. I just thought it was a fun, neat thing, that's really all. I also just enjoyed whole chapters for the most part. I liked the green streamer chapter, most of the purple streamer chapter, and also the yellow and final chapters. Back to characters real quick, Kamek was a really awesome idea for a partner, and boy did he execute. He had hard carried this green streamer chapter for me, and seeing him come back with Luigi at the end, man, that was awesome. Especially after going through the depressive state after he quote-unquote died in the Hotfoot crater. That really sucked for me. I also liked Professor Toad for the most part, even though he doesn't speak much and he's really just there as a tool. And that's really all I liked about this game. There are other stuff, but I think I'm digging for the bottom of the barrel here, so here's the complaining stuff. Well, I think it's 10 in the evening, time to start hating on shit. Here we go. First off, the characters. Olivia, she's completely nothing without other people to talk to, and even that, I appreciate the other person's input more. For example, on the Goomba Mask scene, I appreciated Bobby's laid-back commentary on the scene instead of Olivia dying of laughter for some reason. She also tries to have a personality, but I just really couldn't put a pinpoint on what it actually was. She's really just a worse Vivian, and by that I mean they both had direct connections to the antagonists of the games. And another thing about her is her stupid hints. They're either really good or just not helpful at all. Like, Olivia, how am I supposed to solve this puzzle when you're talking about, oh, this area's so pretty, I discovered what a mountain was. I like that element of her character, but seriously, could you, like, give me a hint, woman? Whatever. I just didn't like Olivia all that much. And now touching on the negative parts of Bobby, him sending out for the water shrine and the Mouse and Ninjas didn't make much sense to me, considering his long monologue at the end talks about how bombs have short lives and they should be lived to their fullest potential, even though he demonstrates the opposite of that by sending out on those events. It was just really odd to me. I already touched on Professor Toad's negative parts, besides his fear of fire. Why does Nintendo like having Toads with the stupidest fears of all time? For example, in Luigi's Mansion 2, there was a Toad that was meant to be a worker at the Clockworks, but guess what? They have a fear of clocks, and that really and Professor Toad's fear of fire, even though he's an ancient explorer, reminded me of that. So that's why I'm bringing up Luigi's Mansion 2 for whatever reason. At least it's a really stupid sprite that I used in the thumbnail, and it's just really fucking stupid. And then Bowser Jr. was just Bobby again, and by that I mean his clumsiness, but instead of just being a laid-back character, he's instead a jerk and just insults you every 5 seconds for no apparent reason. Thanks, Nintendo, such a good character. Even though that's his point, but I still didn't like him. Another complaint I have is the pacing. The beginning to Blue Streamer feel like forever, and the Yellow and Purple Streamer chapters by themselves are the longest parts of the game. But then, the final 2 chapters just fly by for no reason at all. The Origami Castle lasts like 30 minutes even though it's the final dungeon. You would expect a mega dungeon, but nope, it ends really freaking quickly, especially with the help of Bowser. There were also just some awful parts of the game. The Water Shrine, the Shogun Studios, the Gathering of the Toads, and the Temple of Shrooms, and the entire prologue just sucked for me. And that's really about it. Those are my minimal complaints. Now, onto the big 2 that ruined the game for me. Starting off with the fact that this is a puzzle-based game, and said puzzles are very hit or miss. There are many times where I just had to look up a solution that I wouldn't have gotten in a million years. For example, that stupid Yellowstone in Chapter 1. I will say that there are some cool puzzles, like the Sea Tower ones, but for the majority of the puzzles that were either boring or stupidly cryptic for no reason. But I don't think any complaint stands up to this one. The one that you've been staring at this entire time. The motherfucking battle system. It might just be, no, this is the worst battle system I've ever had to deal with in any RPG I've ever played. For the ones that haven't indulged in the sludge, if you don't know what to do based on the background footage, I can't blame you. Just look at this crap. When I first tried this game back in 2021, I only played for like an hour or so, and one of the main reasons I stopped was because the prologue sucks, and also because of this battle system. I just did not know what to do for the life of me. Obviously, you get used to it after a bit, but man is it confusing as hell for no reason. And you know what, let me explain what you have to do here. You have to line up the enemies into a single file line, a 4 or by a 2x2 area to hit them with your boots or hammer. And you have to do it in a certain amount of moves and time. Solving such puzzles will give you an attack boost and also give yourself a good chance at killing all the enemies in one go. Why do I have to solve a stupid puzzle to do shit to these enemies? Failing doesn't even really have that big of a punishment in the late game, but in the early game, holy crap, it's awful. Even then, past Chapter 1, these puzzles are so much harder for no reason. Could just be my dumbass, but I just could not figure them out for the life of me. For example, I died to the stupid crabs in the Water Shrine so many times because I just couldn't line them up and they just did so much damage, and I couldn't do that many damage back because I didn't have that many good weapons. Speaking of which, let's talk about the weapons. These aren't as horrendously awful as things like Stickers and Sticker Star, but they're also kind of bad. And it's mainly because it's mainly inspired by the Sticker Star stuff, because these weapons break after a certain amount of useless. It's so dumb, even though it doesn't become a problem in the late game. Do you notice a pattern yet? This could just be me, but battling the late game was so much easier compared to the early game. Mainly because the weapons are immortal and they do so much more damage, but still. At the very least, these weapons are very replaceable because this game pays you like you're Jeff Bezos taking a shit on a golden toilet, but that's all. Battles just give you some coins. You'll get by progressing normally anyways. There's no point in battling, so if you just manage to stumble back into one, good luck, deal with this atrocity, because there's no way in hell you're running away after Chapter 1. I think just having coins being a reward for battling is just really dumb and just doesn't give me a reason to battle at all. For example, in TTYD, they had a level system, so if I battled, I could level up my Mario and just become better, and it just really helped the game a lot, because otherwise, I would just get some coins. At least the partners are useless, but that only counts for half the chapters. And guess what? I'm not done yet, because there's still another fucking battle system. The boss battle system. They have a separate battle system where you use arrows to navigate your ring, the way around the ring, to attack the boss. It's definitely better because most bosses don't abuse the puzzle part to make it annoying, but it's still annoying to learn another battle system. For example, there was the Ice Maze and the Ice Elemental boss that made me want to blow up a whole entire city. In Minecraft, of course. Here, I felt like I could customize my way to the boss, and honestly, it wasn't that bad. I just don't get why I gotta learn a whole nother battle system like I said earlier. And well, that's the end of my battle system rant. But I still want to touch on the bosses themselves real quick. If you couldn't tell already, I hated some of these bosses. For example, the Hole Puncher, Ice Elemental, Fire Elemental, and Rubber Band. And also the Sumo Bros, but who cares about them? These boss fights were very hit or miss, and some were just kind of fun, while some just really sucked. They're also just pretty cryptic on what to do for the most part. The envelopes helps, but I still ended up confused after reading some of them. Well, I think that's all the big complaints I have. Here are my final thoughts. If you asked me 3 words to describe this game, I would say hit or miss, which is a very common thing I've been saying throughout this entire video. There are some genuinely okay moments like Bobby's death, but there are plenty bad things to balance it out, like the crime that is this battle system. The game just felt like a jumbled mess that they put together, and it's just so odd. There are so many problems with it, it's just really just not that good. It's also more of a puzzle-based game, which is just not my cup of tea. Most of this game just had me feeling like a headless chicken wandering around for a lot of this game, and I just didn't really have a great experience. But you know what? On to the final score. Honestly, I was feeling a solid 4 on this, but because of that good ending, I bumped it up a bit. And honestly, I think this is the most objectively 5 out of 10 I've ever played, but I'll give it an even worse one, a 4.5. Perfectly mediocre. Thanks for watching. Peace.